Like a lot of Americans that watch what's been going on in the news, very concerned and started thinking about what could I do to help. And, this has been going on for a long time, this conflict and this refugee crisis. And so for me, at least, the big step was going from, I would like to help to let me get involved.
People here need a lot more help than people outside realize. They're not scary, they don't have any ulterior motive. Like, I've asked several patients who we had to deal with, and you ask them, what will you do if the war stopped in Syria tomorrow? A lot of them would say they'd go back home and pack.
We say that we are Syrian people killed twice. The first by the regime itself, and the second by the silence of the world. There is something weird happened. The silence remained 1 year, 2 years, and now we are 6 years, and still the silence remains. The kids were thinking that we are going in a picnic. My wife, I told her we have to move and we will return immediately. It's a matter of 1 week, 2 weeks at maximum, and we will return back. And I thought in my mind, it's maybe 1 month, 2 months, and we have the change in our country, then we will return back safely. And here we go. It's been years now.
This is my third trip on a mission with SAMS. This is my second as mission leader. So I was in the very first mission that left in March of 2015. So I think we've been thankfully able to expand the number of refugees we're able to serve. SAMS has established a reputation here in Jordan. Basically I think what SAMS has done is work to both try and make it as effective as possible for the refugees that are here. So to choose not necessarily a potpourri of different kinds of specialties, but ones that are in particular demand. But all the patients we see don't have a whole lot of options here. Socioeconomically, at the lower levels, it's difficult, no matter what your background. We're glad to be able to provide, this kind of care.
I think all of us going into medical school, I think all of us have this notion of that we want to, become doctors and be able to help out and, just be able to contribute to the society. I think a lot of us, at least personally speaking, growing up, there was always a lot of trauma around us. I've never personally experienced it, but I've lived around times where there were people that we've been, kicked out of their homes, at wars, etc. And you always feel like there's, you need to do something. We're all sitting at home safe and sound, and you just feel like, you have to do something.
Yesterday I saw a few patients, and today I saw a few patients that have perhaps chronic illnesses or perhaps don't even realize that their children have chronic illnesses and are getting no medical care for those things. Patients like that in the US or elsewhere in the developed world, and even the developing world, would be plugged in. Their children, I had a child yesterday with Down syndrome, and his mom didn't even know he had Down syndrome. And I had another child with severe developmental delay, lots of medical problems, who wasn't on a single medication. There's just so much need and not enough resources to provide that need. And I think thinking about where they came from and where they are today, these are people who had normal houses and lives in Syria. They may have had a farm, and they talk about the things they had access to in Syria compared to the things they have had access to here, and it's just such a significant and drastic difference. I think we all have quite cushy lives. We've got our apartments and our vehicles, etc. And we live a life where we have access to most of the things we need. And it's just remembering these people and trying to help in tiny ways, even if it's just raising awareness abroad.
We come here, we see some patients, we try to, make a dent in the problem that's here and the lack of care that people have. But when you think about what you get back, I got to see firsthand the lives that people are living here that we see in the news and we wonder about. And then other part that I didn't really expect was I got to make a lot of friends, like-minded people, very bright minds from around the world.
It's such a satisfying feeling. when you help people. You achieve such an inner sense of peace. And I couldn't stop talking about it. I couldn't stop talking about how horrible things were for some patients, how good I felt when they thanked me. Because when they thank you like from the bottom of their heart.
The issue of refugees has become somewhat politicized. What I could tell you is that refugees don't want to be refugees. None of my family ever wanted to leave Syria, and if they could go back to the way it was, they would in an instant. So I think the ultimate solution to this is going to be when we can alleviate what has created the crisis in the first place with respect to the refugees. If we can address their needs, be able to give them a sense of safety, give them a sense of hopefulness that they can, move on with their lives.